Hey, Tony, I'm trying to help you out. Appreciate it. Yeah, I told you she could do better. I appreciate the help. Yeah, How are you folks? I'm fine. I'm on loose. Henry, you want to talk to the candidate? Yeah, don't be bashful. This food up there for teenagers. Okay, I didn't get to you yet. We're on loose.
I'm Emma.
Emma? Yes. You're with the candidate?
Yes.
Glad Where's Mikey?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
It started now. It's a book of Maritime page that you can see. Recorded what? I will try. Because it will be a long stream and then you can see it. But don't really pay.
Oh, because I was thinking about maybe I may not be able to touch everything, but much that
What type of battery you use? I have extra batteries. But I don't know if it will stay. So here is the sound.
Well,
So you're on the agenda?
I'm really excited to see it.
Hello? A little bit. I just wanted to say that there are seats and you'll need to fill in with people you might not know. And enjoy that. And I hope that we have enough seating. We'll see how it goes. We're getting some extra chairs at the back.
Students are like saying, they found me. I used tell you where Alice is came back in Tennessee around like 4 so yes. I know, I was like, I wonder if it's going to show up.
See you. Not hard way, also beautiful. Wow.
Good afternoon. Oh, this is delightful. My name is Marietta, and I am the secretary of Mount Zion Black Cultural Center and the chair of the committee that planned this. And I can't tell you what a joy it is to see so many faces and see so many tables full. So I am in charge of the housekeeping things, and sheet on every table, and if you'll be sure that gets passed around, we'd like to know everybody who's here. Every table, pass that around. There's some membership forms, and the president, Ada Whitson Adams, will talk about that shortly. You should see a program with the listing of what's coming up to here. And on the back of it is a list of donors for 2023, as well as a list of all the lifetime members that joined a ways back. There's also the annual meeting summary booklet and an article in a OU published book about Ahmed, who is right in front of us live streaming this for on Facebook. Where is Ahmed?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Yep, I'm standing up. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
I want to be sure to thank Brian Kosho for the music that was playing previously, and Mavette for the food, Adam West for the program director, and Arts West for all the arrangements they made with us. So if you would like to make a donation or decide you want to become a member, there are membership forms in front of you on the table. Just look and pass them around to each other. And you can take credit cards, cash, or checks after the meeting. And there are two restrooms that are handicap accessible. One is through the sound room, and the other is over this direction on the other side of the hallway. Before we start, is that a dear friend and major supporter of Mount Zion Black Cultural Center passed away on Friday. Sarah Guilford passed of heart failure at home with her family around her. She gave so much of herself, and she was always cheering for us, and especially for Black Wall Street. She gave many donations to be sure that that was moving along as it has. And she was a dear friend of mine. So I'd like to ask that we take a moment of silence to remember the sweet lady who lived all the way to 94. 94 years old. Thank you, and on with the show. Next is the president, Ada Woodson Adams.
They had this mic in a certain place for it. So we stay up. Okay. Move to the side. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I love this group. When I was growing up, we always had a call and return call, and you did beautifully well. Thank you. A lot of times, the audience doesn't know what to say when someone says good afternoon to them, but the response is to say good afternoon back. So you just made my heart feel really good. Thank you so much. I am very happy to be here today, not only because I'm alive, but because I get to see your faces. And it's a delight to have you come and share this annual meeting with us today. It takes a village is the theme of our programming today, and because of you, we have a village. I'm going to encourage you to continue eating. It will make me comfortable, and you can stare at that picture, beautiful picture down here, and that would be great too. I'd like to say that I am very grateful and thankful to Marietta and her staff's committee to pull this annual meeting together. Vibra Cambridge, Renee Middleton, Libby Williams, Jenny Nelson, Amin Hamin, and Avery Nelson, and especially Marietta, a big shout out, thank you to you. I also at this time see a lot of, well, all of you are familiar faces to me. I've been around so long, but I would like to point out a couple of faces that I'd like to say welcome to, and that one is Lacey Rogers. The Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility Training Coordinator for the City of Athens. Welcome to that position, Lacey. And I'd like to welcome Micah McCary. Micah serves on the Athens City Council. And also the coordinator for the LGBT Center Director at OU. So, the other people I'd like to say thank you for coming today is Chad Springer, principal of the Athens High School. And I see Angela Hall over there. Thank you, Angela. I think middle school. She does everything with the school system, so I'll just say middle school teacher. And then we have Fritz Reed, who I've got to know quite well. Thank you for coming. Fritz is with the high school, and you'll hear more about them a little bit later on. Let's see. I want to just say this to, I will recognize Libby's guest, who came down from Columbus, Ohio, and whose ancestors attended Mount Zion Baptist Church. So I want to say hello to, I'm going to get the names mixed up. Deetra? No, I'm saying it wrong, but yeah. Well, you stand up and give me your names. Let's do it that way. Tell folks your names and where you're from.
My name is Deirdre Bell, and Adele, George Bell. Mount
And Deidre's picture is one of the little children in the 1961 anniversary homecoming at Mount Zion. So now you see her as a little child, and now you see her now.
Hello, my name is Phyllis Bell. I'm your sister, and my dad, George Henry Bell, was the member of Mount Zion.
And I learned that Phyllis was just too young to come to homecoming that day. She was about 1 year old, and so she missed out on that particular picture. Did anyone else on the board bring any guests today that I'd like to recognize? All right, I'm going to talk about y'all in a minute. So,
I'd like to recognize two people.
okay.
Marlene Jenkins has come all the way from Cincinnati, and she is a previous board member. And one of our and Patty Mitchell, who is also going to be honored today.
Okay. Thank you, Marietta. So, and then I would like to thank all of you. You are Mount Zion's village. Because of you, we have succeeded as much as we have, and because of your belief in what we're trying to do in creating a Black cultural space for Athens, I want to welcome you and thank you for being part of our village. In the old African proverb, it says, it takes a village to raise a child. You are raising up Mount Zion. That's our child in this scenario. Your financial support has been outstanding, and you will hear about the village workings in the chair's reports later on today. All of the financial support we received over the past year was very important and needed. But I was impressed this spring with one incident that happened when we had a fundraiser. We asked our board members to contact their friends and family to ask for donations because we were struggling trying to get the windows removed, the stained glass windows removed before they fell out. We had one fall already and the others were just waiting. God was holding them up. And so in a matter of 2 weeks, with just a few board members asking their friends and family, we were able to raise over $40,000. So I want to thank the village. For now, the stained glass windows are in storage. They're in a safe place. And you couldn't be any safer than being stored in the morgue, right? Oh, that's not exactly what it's called, but that's what I'm going to call it. And thanks to the city of Athens for offering us that space. We appreciate it. Now for a little business that we need to take care of. One, we have 4 board directors who have agreed to continue serving another term. And that's Mariah, T, Vibrant, and missing one.
Leslie.
And Leslie, who have agreed to serve another term. So I want to thank you for your continued service, and I appreciate it because we're starting to move fast, and we need your expertise. So thank you. We do have 2 vacancies on our board at this time, and if anyone would like to be part of our historic and exciting adventure of restoring a historic site and giving the community a much needed asset, a Black cultural center, or like more information about our board, see me after the meeting or send me an email. Now, I was going to have calling cards on the table with my email address on them, but I forgot to bring them. So I will give you my email address later, and Anne Mariah has her hand up.
There are some membership forms on people's, on the table. You can pass those around, and you can also indicate on there whether you would like to be a board member or not.
Or want more information.
Or on the sign-in sheet.
Okay. All right. So if you have any questions about that, we can talk about it more at the end of the meeting. All of you who have lifetime status, you will continue with that honor. We are going to vote on the new bylaws, and one of the major changes in the new bylaws that we sent out to you concerns membership status. And when we began in 2013, we started with a membership base, and that's when some of you became lifetime members. And so to honor that membership, we're going to go back to membership status. And membership is like $25 for an individual. And if you get in on it early, I think lifetime membership is $200. So now,
it was back in the beginning.
yes, but if you wait a month or two, it's going to change. I'm gonna let that sink in. Right now, it's $25 per person to join, $200 for a lifetime membership. But we're gonna have a board meeting coming up, and things are gonna change. So, all right, and so thank you very much if you do consider joining and participating with us as we move forward with our village status. I will entertain a motion to accept the bylaws as presented. Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Anne Mariah moves. Thank you. Do I have a second to that motion?
I second.
Libby second. Thank you very much. All in favor of the motion signify with a yay.
Yay.
Those opposed with a nay. Any abstentions, you leave the room. I'm just joking, you may have an abstention if you like. Thank you very much. Those of you who did not get a copy of the bylaws because we did not have your email address, will you make sure we get your email address so we can send you a copy of the bylaws and any other information that we come up with that we like to share with you. As you see around the room, I am so excited. God has sent us so many angels. Now, they only gave me 3 minutes to talk, but I'm a loose cannon. And so I'm going to say,
Already over it.
I'm going to say this. Take time to enjoy the posters and the artwork on the wall. Lynn did all the artwork on the wall. And one day he was walking down the street and he saw the church. And he looked through the door window and started taking pictures. And T got panicky and said, "Who's broken into our church to take all these pictures and put them out there on the social media?" And come to find out, it was the ingenuity of the young man down sitting in front of me. And he has an eye for capturing the beauty of the situation. And the other time that he came up on the church unannounced was when we had to sell some of the pews in the church, which was a hard thing for me to get rid of. And he came down to church and documented that piece of history. And so we'll have that piece of history. And so I made you one of my angels that will always be with me. Thank you. We have other photographers in the room too who are helping me. I don't know if Marie is still here or not. Yes, she's still here. She's tailgating me now and taking the history of rural America into account. And so we're just not Athens centric. We're encompass the whole county and the whole region. We encompass the Ohio River Valley when we get done. Okay. Now I'm through that part. I'm going to the second part. Is this Ever, is this the time where I can do the, no,
No,
it's Ron's turn,
you're
right?
done.
Okay, I will give up the podium for my treasurer, Ron Luce.
And then just sit down back in the chair.
I can't do this ledge thing. I'm standing on a ledge here. She's short.
Maybe you're tall.
Well, there's that too. I'm so happy to be here. I don't know how many of you know, but this whole thing started way back in 2013 when I first met and fell in love with Ada Woodson Adams. And we decided that we needed to do something about this old building that was having all kinds of problems. We were fearful it was going to fall apart. I'm really so pleased that I can report to you that financially we're doing quite well overall, and we're still at it, and we're going to make it. We're really going to make it. So I want to share with you, because I don't want to go over my time and get ridiculed by Ada. So I'm going to just let you in on what has happened in the last year. And we started out in January of 2023. We had, at that moment in time, $140,524.85. The total generated revenue generated this year, including that figure, is $310,244.64. Now that's pretty phenomenal. It costs a lot of money to restore an old building, and I hope you'll see that we've used your money wisely. So that was a net gain of $169,700. Our expenses, this is where you might say, oh my God. Yeah, well, we've spent a lot of money. And every penny of it has been to keep this organization afloat and to work on getting the building cared for and getting those precious windows taken care of. That's been the biggest priority this past year. So a lot of money there. If you look at the year on paper, we ended up losing $13,458.92. When you work with grants, and you're working with granting agencies, and they tell you they're going to provide money in a certain time frame, and you're going to be able to use it in a certain time frame, and you can go ahead and commit contracts based on that time frame, don't believe them. They don't always tell the truth. So we were a little short. We made that up, until I did a little bit of panicking, but at any rate, we were able to make that up for short term. Like 2 weeks later, we had the money in the grant. So this is the grant that we were waiting for. We were granted $242,900 from the State of Ohio Buckeye Hills grant. And the money is only available on a reimbursement basis. So that's what happened, that we looked a little short on the money. So when we finally got the money, like 2 weeks later, we ended up with $180,189.47 in reimbursement. So we were doing quite well. We're doing fairly well into this year as well. The whole windows project, if you take everything into consideration, this is what it costs to just try to save the windows in that building. So you get a sense of what we're up against. We have spent so far this year $270,694.26 trying to save those windows and caring for the openings that they created when the glass was taken out, etc. So we anticipate our expenses for this coming year to be similar to what we faced last year. We have a lot of things we want to do. The building is coming within the vision within reach of actually getting done if we can manage to keep the money flowing. So at this moment in time, today, I could go to the bank and draw out $180,781.26. Well, they're not open on Sundays, but that's what we could draw out. However, you need to be aware that we get a lot of grants, sometimes small grants, and those are restricted. We can't just reach into them and take that money out. So we have to hold $115,111.24, hold it back. It's restricted. Only things that go to that expense can be used. So I want you to be aware that we now are in a very similar situation to what we were at the end of last year. We have a big bill coming our way for finishing the work around the windows and removing the dust and mold, or I shouldn't say dust, the mold and mildew from the building, and in particular preparing for the windows. It's going to cost us $92,999. I would love how they always make it $99 instead of, $30,000 and $93,000. At any rate, so we've got that coming up, and we have to be concerned about that because we have to pay it up front and then get reimbursed. That's just a hint in case anybody is into a giving mood today and you want to help us out with that. So we'll be tight. But with your help, we'll be able to take another big step forward for getting the building ready for finishing and all that sort of thing. So from my standpoint, that's what I have to offer you. If anyone has any questions or concerns about the budget, I'd be more than happy to talk with anyone individually. With that, I'll turn it back.
Okay. Okay, my next privilege is to let you know. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. It has been my privilege to work with the Andrew Jackson Davidson Club the past 4 years, and that's where I met Angela Hall and Fritz Reed, and then later on Chad, who got the total Athens City School involved in the project that we were working on. She will tell you more about that later on. But the Andrew Jackson Davidson Club, for those of you who may not know, is a group of young people that started out, was it the 8th grade, Angela?
Yes.
Who realized that there was a black attorney in Athens who didn't get the proper recognition as all the other white attorneys at the time had gotten. And they went about researching Andrew Jackson Davidson and his wife Eliza Brown Davidson and convinced the city officials that the mistake that was made in the past needed to be corrected. And they were convincing enough that they were able to put a picture of Andrew Jackson Davidson in the Athens County Courthouse along with all the other attorneys. So I'll give you a big hand for that. I became involved with the Andrew Jackson Davidson Club when, after they had done that particular, and I thought, that's a community service organization. I need to make contact with them. And I asked Angela if I could come and talk with the club. And I introduced to them something that we were thinking about doing, and that was raising funds through a project called, we didn't have a name for it at the time, but the students came up, these students, the founding members came up with a name. And the name they came up with, Quarters to Freedom, Routes of the Underground Railroad. And the reason they came up with that title is because we wanted to talk about what it was to be enslaved and held against your will and what it took to seek your freedom. And so we wanted to take a person from Athens, Ohio to Canada, over 330 miles, and on the route, they would learn the historic value of what this freedom seeker from station to station had to go through. And so it became a service learning project. And the students were very excited about it. On your table, you'll see a thin slip of paper. At the very top, there's an emblem of a quarter. That was their design they came up with. They came up with the title, they came up with the logo design, and the map. But we did have help with the map. Let me see, let me get it right. The map was in collaboration with the students and with the graduate student, Victoria Marvinova and Brett Elliott, graphic designer, who helped with putting the map together. And eventually it's going to be an interactive map where you see the footprints moving towards Canada. And so that was a lot of work. We took a lot of time putting that together. And they didn't stop there. They wanted to do more. And I was happy because I wanted them to do more. And so since we had the project, Quarters of Freedom, Routes on the Underground Railroad, why not raise money? Why not tell the other students about what you're doing, what you're learning in this club, and how you're helping Mount Zion, and how Mount Zion is giving you a little extra history that you may not get normally in your everyday studies. And so they collected. They were the first group of people to collect money for this project, over $3,000 to get us started. I think they deserve a big round of applause. So that group is now graduating this year. The founding members, we couldn't get them all here. This is St. Patrick's weekend, and it is spring break. But I'm so happy that you came, and I want you to come up on stage at this time. Okay. And I want to congratulate the founding members of the Andrew Jackson Davidson Club for their community activism and for setting a standard of excellence in giving inspiration to students that participated in a service learning project. Now there are three. We'll start with one. Come on up.
Oh, I think there are more, so let's just have them all. I think there are 4 of you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are 3 now. Andrew Jackson Davidson Club. Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna make you stand for a long time. So Angela and Fritz come up and stand with the students, and Chad, when you come up. And we have one more teacher.
She can't be here today, she's on the spring break.
Oh, okay. Jennifer? Yeah. I'm gonna read something, it's gonna take a minute. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want everybody to really get a good look at the students who helped Mount Zion get started with this project. They started with one club. Now there are 3 clubs throughout the Athens City school system, including starting with the 6th graders who wanted to be involved in this program. And they couldn't be here this year. The Service Learning Project shares the history of the Underground Railroad from station to station and town to town by moving one person seeking freedom from enslavement to a new and free life in Canada. This was an opportunity for Mount Zion to show what a Black Culture Center in Athens can give an enriched American history while the students continue to learn the value of community involvement. Today we want to honor the founding members who saw the value of justice and equality that sparked the interest of the public in their fellow students. A plaque will be given to the Plains Intermediate School, the junior high school, and to the high school to commemorate the Andrew Jackson Davidson Club founding members. And we honor the go ahead, you may have We honor the founding members with a certificate appreciation for their commitment to community service. And Mariah will pass off the certificates. And will you call up the names for me?
So Piper?
Piper Mitchell.
Shelby,
Shelby Davenport.
Ella Powell. Okay. Emma Ober.
Emma Ober.
Henry Wagner.
And Henry Wagner. Okay. And at this time too, we'd like to honor the teachers who Angela Hall was the inspiration behind the Andrew Jackson Days as well. I don't know how she talked Fritz into joining her, but Fritz was at every meeting during that first year I worked with you young people. So Fritz Reed, did we have one for him?
Nope.
Uh-oh.
He wasn't a founding member.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll take care of that, Fritz. And then also I want to thank Chad
Springer.
For his dedication and supporting Mount Zion in the Quarters to Freedom routes of the Underground Railroad. So thank you very much.
I have another presentation, which is, I'll just yell, which is to Chad Springer. We've made a plaque. We have a plaque here that has all the students' names and Mrs. Hall's name to go in the high school perpetuity forever. So I will hand that to Mr. Springer.
Anyone like to say anything?
Why are you looking at me? I've got to step up here because I'm short also. I'll keep this real short because this is not about me, this is about them. It's amazing what education can do to the next generation and to see steps taken toward correcting injustice in this area. And it started with them, and now we are beyond, I think, over 30 or 40 members across grades 6 through 12, and it's continued to grow. So give these guys a great round of applause.
Now, my 2 minutes is up, but like I said, I get to take license. Last year, Ryder came in with $50 in quarters to promote the Quarters to Freedom routes of the Underground Railroad. This year, I tried to match you, Vibrant, but I only came up with $30 in quarters. And I'm going to ask the village to do something for me today. I'm going to throw out to you a challenge that will help me celebrate my year-long birthday of turning 85 on March 28th. I am seeking at least 500 people, I know there will be more, to help donate 85 feet of quarters per person or group of people. If you look at that skinny sheet of paper on the back, you will see that 1,000 quarters equals 83 feet, and 83 feet equals $250. But you gotta go 2 more feet because I'm gonna be in 5. And then you gotta add $6 to that. Now I don't expect you individually, unless you want to give $250, but the challenge is for you to see who can bring in the most $250 donations to celebrate my birthday. And when you send this money, and you can send checks, we'll bring it down to quarters and take it to the bank. You don't have to love around 1,000 quarters, but you can send credit card if you want to do that. But the thing of it is, my husband's great uncle, John Hobart, had been enslaved and came to Ohio seeking freedom. And he was living here peacefully and having a farm and raising a family when in 1850, they passed a law that said anybody can come and collect any black person and take them back into slavery, whether they had been enslaved or not. So John Hobart left Washington County and moved to Canada. And he took most of his family with him. And he had more family in Canada, and we're just now learning more about the family in Canada. But John Hobart, he was a real American citizen. When the Civil War broke out, he and his brother Joseph, came back to Athens County, Washington County, and joined the Civil War and fought for their freedom again. So it has a lot of meaning when you put a person seeking freedom, whether they want to or not. And so that might be an incentive for you. And Mariah, just forget it. This might be an incentive to you to maybe when you go out and ask your friends and family, your church, the organizations you belong to, whoever you might want to contact, to give you 85 feet of quarters. Maybe that you can put a person to that because it was real. And if we can do this and we can all pull together, pull this money in, if we get the Freedom Seeker all the way from Athens to Canada, you will help raise $4 million. I'm going to ask at the end of this meeting, anybody who wants to be committed to making this project work, who want to put the knuckles to the grindstone and make it happen, come see me. Yay. We can make this happen. We can do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ada. A couple of quick things. I want to recognize 2 students who have participated with Mount Zion this year. One just won the Photography Association Student Award of the Year from the Ohio Photographers Association, and the other has had an exhibit for Mount Zion in all of the libraries in the county, whose thesis was telling the Mount Zion story to the community. And talk about villages. This village extended globally. We have 2 people who worked very sincerely with us. One from Indonesia, come Lorraine.
Singapore.
From Singapore. The volunteer in the back is from Indonesia. Come. This is the Ohio Photographer Student of the Year. Who is also running our show on Facebook today.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Peggy Lee. I recently joined the board and I'm very privileged that I was given the opportunity to do so. This is going to be very short. I'm filling in some big shoes. Sue Ridley has been a stalwart in getting the building. She was there watching every day to see that things were being done with the restoration. There will be a slideshow, so I'm going to be very brief.
It's running.
Oh, it's running now. Okay. Well, letting you view all the work that's been done, but just one thing. We are going to make this into an accessible building, which requires addition for an elevator. There was a estimate showing that 2024 costs will be in the range of $7 million to make that happen. And there have been some trees removed in order to make the addition happen. So I'm going to let this picture speak for themselves.
I don't have a slideshow, but could I have like them?
Hold it, until the slideshow finishes, please.
Oh, okay.
We found that picture of LeBron James in the church.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. In 2023, the work of the History and Research Committee, could I have the lights, please? In 2023, the work of the History and Research Committee was determined by the Quarters to Freedom fundraising project developed by the Andrew Jackson Davidson Club and launched in February 2023 during Black History Month. As Ada pointed out, the fundraiser envisioned covering 330 miles, a 330-mile route from Athens to Buxton, Ontario, with quarters. According to Ada, the projected income from that was $4 million. The excitement of the outcome of the service learning project reverberated among the members of the Mount Zion Board, which, as Ada pointed out in February 2003, was deeply engaged in efforts to raise funds to save the church's precious stained glass windows. Many questions were raised among members of the board. Among those was, how can this fundraiser be scaled up? How would the rolling out of the Quarters to Freedom project contribute to the creation of the Mount Zion archives? The scaling up considerations were tempered by the need to ensure that the information regarding the 53 Underground Railroad stations were accurate, comprehensive, and inclusive as possible. By the end of spring 2023, it was agreed that this information must be available in a digital form on a platform that is accessible and allows for interactivity. Summer of 2023 was spent exploring platforms to host the compiled data. Summer of 2023 was also spent conducting a rapid survey of the nature, scope, and formats of data related to the Black experience in our valley. The Quarters to Freedom Project aligned with our committee's work to develop the Mount Zion archives. In 2021, the History Committee had circulated to the board a note recommending the establishment of the Mount Zion archive and its centrality in the task of restoring our historic church and supporting contributions and histories and ongoing concerns about Black Americans everywhere. Describing the nature of this proposed Mount Zion archive, it was stated, ours, the archive emerging out of this community, is a living archive. It is focused on the Black experience in rural America. Its materials have been gathered, collected, and stored by community members in Appalachian, Ohio. Indeed, the Quarters to Freedom Project aligned with our ambition to develop the Mount Zion archive. By the end of summer 2023, it was clear that there were multiple public and private collections with data about the Black experience in our region, including the Underground Railroad. The summer survey also revealed the state of current research on the Black experience in the region, including the use of advanced technologies such as LiDAR to study graveyards and early Black settlements in our region. The survey also revealed the use of video, augmented reality, podcasts, and other social media in telling the stories about the Black experience in our region. At the end of summer 2023, it was clear that the Mount Zion story had solid regional, national, and international linkages. In November 2023, the board of Mount Zion authorized the development of a comprehensive digital archive on the Black experience in Athens and our wider region. The board also approved the recommendation to name the archive the Ada Woodson Adams Living Archive in recognition of her pioneering and unrelenting work documenting the Black experience in Southeast Ohio, the wider Ohio River Valley, and beyond. In December 2023, the board reviewed the society's bylaws, and in that document, which you may have all read, the History and Research Committee is required through the Ada Woodson Adams Living Archive, develop physical and digitized archives of historical documents, photos, books, and other artifacts related to the history of Black people in the Ohio River Valley, and making digitized materials accessible to the public. That has been our journey since we last met. So far in 2024, we have received encouragement and tangible support from critical stakeholders in our village for the building of the Ada Adams Woodson Living Archive. These include the Southeast Ohio History Center, the Ohio Center for Community Engagement, Ohio University's libraries, and Brian Costco, the CEO of the Invisible Underground Group. So far in 2024, the Department of African American Studies, with support from the College of Fine Arts and the College of Arts and Sciences, has announced the reactivation of the African American Research and Service Institute, with its unique collection of materials on the Underground Railroad and oral histories of Black families from this region recorded during the period 2023. At the end of 2023, the History and Research Committee expanded its membership, bringing on board critical skills and expertise needed for the next phase in the development of the Ada Woodson Adams Archive. Some of them are here today. Marietta, please stand. If you're here, please stand. Marietta, Ada Woodson Adams, these are members of the history. Cassidy Brown, Andrea Flom, Michelle Perdue, Elizabeth Williams. Please join me in thanking them for their selfless work during 2023. We, the members of the History and Research Committee, thank you for your ongoing support and encouragement. And we ask of you, please stay tuned for information about our 2024 program. Thank you very much.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, again. What I'd like to say is that we have had great media coverage, both social and well as in print press. And I spent about 4 hours yesterday putting together these boards over here, so take a look. My report is on those boards right there. Take a look at those boards. You'll see that we've received lots of local press. The university has been so generous in using us in magazines, etc. As a matter of fact, we have one on the table called Backdrop Magazine that one young student did the most comprehensive. I've already put her up for a Pulitzer, okay? She did the best job I've seen so far in terms of covering everything that happened. So take a look at that. Take a look at the other magazines. We've received a front page coverage from the Columbus Dispatch. A Kansas City newspaper ran a huge article on Mount Zion under their faith page. So I'm very, very thankful and generous. In the meantime, we are working on, is our movie going to play? Is it set up? Okay. We've been working on episode 2 of Black Wall Street, Athens, which we produced last year to be on, the episode 1 to be on Amazon Prime this coming summer, and we're working on episode 2 now, and we're going to show you a quick clip. Episode 2 of Black Wall Street, Athens profiles the triumphs of blacks in the late 1880s and early 1900s. 2 establishments play a pivotal role in the community's growth. That was the Albany Enterprise Academy and the Hotel Berry. While others were raising funds to support the Civil War, the black residents of Albany, many of whom were formerly enslaved, built a school. And in 1863, the Albany Enterprise Academy was born. Conceived, owned, and operated by black citizens, it was one of the first of its kind in America. At its peak, there were over 200 students enrolled, and half of them were women. For example, Mattie Madrick and Edward Berry graduated from the academy, got married, and established the Hotel Berry, one of the most successful black businesses in the region. Other graduates of the Enterprise Academy included Olivia Davison, who, with husband Booker T. Washington, started Tuskegee Institute, now a university. Another esteemed graduate was Milton Holland, who was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for his bravery in the Civil War. T.J. Ferguson was principal of the Academy and served on the board of directors at Wilberforce University. In 1885, Ferguson fell ill and had to resign, and a mysterious fire occurred at the Academy. Since then, black schools and businesses have disappeared from this region, with one exception: the Mount Zion Baptist Church in nearby Athens. Amen. Thank you. Come look at this.
Mariah, you next person up.
No, actually, it's the keynote speaker.
Violet, will you introduce the keynote speaker, please?
Yes.
Oh, sure. I'll be very quick. don't want to take away time from Mr. Tony Mayle. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking today about a rich community, a community with deep roots. Tony Mayle is going to be able can trace his family's roots back to the Underground Railroad. His family was one of those families that came along that route and decided to stay. Tony Mayle also represents the young generation of historians who are born in this region, who live in this region, who continue to work in this region. Tony Mayle did his graduate education here at Ohio University and currently serves the leadership position at Marietta College. Tony Mayle is going to speak to us today about some of the dynamic realities of our region, wonderful realities, the story of bludgeons and wings. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome Tony Mayle.
Hello, everyone. Hello. And I like Dr. Cambridge's pronunciation of Mayle. Those of you who know the Mayle family realize we've had several pronunciations over the years for various reasons. If you want to talk about those after I get done here, I'm welcome that discussion. All right, bear with me 1 second while I get set up. Okay, we have a PowerPoint back there. Drum roll, please. I mean, while they're getting that set up, let me say it's an honor to speak be on the shoulders of several people that have spoken today. I continue to do what I do because of pillars in the community. So I'm honored to speak after they have spoken in the knowledge and wisdom that they pass on to us. So it's a pleasure. And keep in mind, my presentation, as soon as it's up, will discuss a briefing. Keep in mind, I'm used to giving an hour or more presentation. So just 12 minutes, it's just a briefing of the Melungeons, winds, mulattoes, what have you, as well as some underground railroad activity in Southeast Ohio. Okay, here we go. So, as I said, it's an honor to be here, and I appreciate the invite. So that's my information. If you want to email me, feel free to email me. And I'm currently I'm Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Marietta College, so with all my students that I see, I make sure they're educated about the local diverse history that Appalachia and Southeast Ohio has to offer. All right. So, those who've seen the photo, you notice I'm holding a bird. So years ago, Dr. Najee Muhammad, who had him and I were discussing a particular, I guess, representation of our people and our history. So he educated me about the Sankofa. So I think the Sankofa is extremely important. And I'll let you read that. So the Sankofa teaches us that we must go back to our roots in order to move forward. That is, we should reach back and gather the best of what our past has to teach us so that we can achieve our full potential as we move forward. Whatever we have lost, forgotten, forgone, or been stripped of can be reclaimed, revived, and preserved. Visually and symbolically, the Sankofa is expressed as a mythical bird that flies forward while looking backward with an egg in its mouth. And of course, I always tell people the egg represents youth. So we also have to educate our youth on our history. Okay? Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once here. So the next few slides, or pictures I should say, I'm going to give you kind of a quick rundown. Now keep in mind these are black and white photos, so usually when I give this presentation, I have people to look at the similarities with these photos. And I have color photos that usually go along with this, but for the sake of time, I won't for this particular presentation. So if you look here, you have many different people, many different physical characteristics. So the thing they have in common is they all recognize as African Americans. They all will be termed as Winds or Melungeons. I'll explain what the term winds means as I go forward. And of course, all these are my family, not to be, biased or anything. All right, some of the names that our people, including Ada and several other people in this room, have received over the years, hundreds of years, I should say. You look at, I'm sure some of these look familiar. Mulatto, I'm going to talk about here. The Lost Tribe, some people, and I say people, and I want to say government people, researchers, had thought at one point we were descendants from the Lost Tribes of Roanoke Island. So that's another discussion we'll have at another point. So what I want to talk about before I move on is the term winds. Have any of you heard the term winds describing our people in this area? So what would happen when I worked on the African American Presence in the Ohio River Valley project years ago? What we found is when census takers came to houses every 10 years, if they didn't know the local community, we would have a record of our family member signified by winds. So the W stands for white. Some years we be white. Some years Indian or Native American, and some years N for Negro. And then, of course, there's also the C for color that would be used to describe our people as well. So it all depends on if the census taker knew us and if some of our family wanted to pass by another or for another race at that point. And the term Melungeon is really one of the most popular terms that used to describe our people now. I worked on did a presentation with the International Storytelling Center. It was called Melungeon, America's Forgotten People. And we discussed the term Melungeon, the origins of the Melungeon people in the United States. So, Melungeons. Okay, I'll let you read that. I'm not a fan of reading directly out of PowerPoint, so I'll let you read some of the locations that Melungeon came out of and where they went to. But Melungeons are a little-known ethnic group of people who have been in the United States in early colonial period. Very simply put, Melungeon genealogy is made from white indentured servant mothers and black fathers, either enslaved or free. A whole bunch of confusing laws contributed to creating conditions whereby Melungeons were attached to African Americans, but in some cases could not be identified visually as African American. And I'm quoting my late cousin Henry Burke on this one. Melungeons, sorry, now I'm going to go back here. Melungeons were the backbone of the Underground Railroad. And cousin Henry goes on to say the difference between Melungeons and mulattoes is that Melungeons were not enslaved, and mulattoes were born enslaved, unless the mulatto mother had been set free before the birth. Still, they're the very blurred genealogical line between Melungeons and mulattoes that today is very difficult, if not downright impossible, to ascertain. Due to the variation in genetics, Melungeons have complexions that range from light to sometimes very dark. Some Melungeons are indistinguishable from white people, and when African connected ancestors, the white-looking Melungeons were known around the vicinity where they were born and raised. This linked them to the African dysphoria, as well as negative connotations such as racism. When a white-looking Melungeon left the locality where they were known, they could pass. Again, I mentioned earlier about pronunciation of the male name and so on and so forth. And they could travel freely without people. That's why I get the thing every time that tell me you don't look black, okay? And first of all, I have that person explain what does looking black mean. And then we have a discussion about genealogy as well as genetics, and we have a discussion about last name, how sometimes last name will distinguish what unfairly is, of course, sometimes what racial background or ancestry you have. Melungeons had no problem acquiring land in Southeast Ohio. In Southeast Ohio County along the Ohio River, Melungeons carry out their Underground Railroad activity, and over time were joined by increasing numbers of free blacks and white abolitionists in Ohio. Underground Railroad continued to gain momentum right up until the American Civil War. All right, so now I'm going to go into, and of course, the name Melungeons too did come from the term Melungu. And Melungu means shipmates from a common country. It described their fellow countrymen shipped west to the New World across the Atlantic. All right, and this is a map to see where a lot of Melungeons came out of and went into. The males actually came from this area, Barber County, West Virginia. and then you'll have several, and that's why if you read several books about black settlements in Ohio, you hear about Pope Patch, Payne Crossing. There are a lot more communities, but they were unknown. They were not communities that were documented, and that's why when people that aren't our people present on the Underground Railroad and our people, I think they fail to realize just because a community wasn't documented doesn't mean a community, segregated community, didn't exist. So keep that in mind. All right, then you see here, Morgan County is in here, and Benton County, and so on and so forth, in Athens. All right, these are some names. I don't know how that goes. These are some names I'm not going to go into. These are names that are identified as Melungeon or Wims. If you want to see me after, we can discuss some of the names. I don't know how this slide got in here, but he's a cute fellow. I don't know how that always gets in there somehow. I don't know. And I also wanted to pay respect to my grandparents. My grandmother was a Norris. That's my father's birthday today, so I'm here today, and afterwards I'm going to try to call him, at least wish him a happy birthday today. All right, so that's the history of the Mayle family. I'm not going to go over it. So what you'll find is every particular Melungeon family, from Norrises to Tablers to Mayles, they all have a history when they became integrated, so to speak, whether it be with native or African blood. We have our genealogical history and when we became mixed, so to speak. And I'm not going to go over that today. So, Underground Railroad history. Those are all, seem like everyone in this room is Underground Railroad scholars, so I'm not going to dig too deep into it. So it became apparent to enslaved African American and anti-slavery advocates that freedom seekers would need a great deal of help to avoid being captured by their owners and bounty hunters while traveling across the states to reach the Canadian border. That was the rationale for establishing the Underground Railroad. But the Underground Railroad did not just appear one day, and freedom seekers just jumped aboard and rode to Canada. The first freedom seekers to run off to Canada were young, healthy, and probably had a little extra awareness of geography that helped them to Canada. They also had help from a group of people that I mentioned previously called Melungeons. As time progressed in 1820, help from a growing number of anti-slavery advocates living mostly in the northern states where slavery was illegal were beginning to significantly increase the success rate for freedom seekers to reach Canada. Anyone willing to take the risk may have been a conductor, which were abolitionists, clergy, farmers, teachers, whites, free blacks, Melungeon, Native Americans, rich or poor. All right, so historians disagree on the number of freedom seekers that aided in the Underground Railroad, but estimates range between 50 to 100,000. Now I want to go over quickly some of these. So the real nature of the operation of freedom seekers were called passengers. Routes were called lines. Stopping places where the freedom seekers rested were called stations. And those who helped freedom seekers to their way north were loosely called conductors. Almost everyone involved with helping an Underground Railroad were called agents. All right, so briefly, Washington County. The reason I don't want to be biased because I work in Washington County, but the reason that I mentioned Washington County is because of this right here. My cousin Henry Burke used to talk about the Ohio River, referred to as the River Jordan. And for the life of me, for years before he explained it, like, why is it called the River Jordan? Well, even in Marietta, Ohio, across the river, Ohio River, in Williamstown, another city, we had plantations. Even in Blennerhassett Island, there were plantations. So imagine you're enslaved and you're on this plantation right across the river of freedom. Right across the river of freedom. That's the River Jordan. Across that river, you're free. Now, of course, we all know that it didn't happen a lot, but having that in your head constantly, and even to live and die for that, knowing that right across that river is freedom. All right, so, and the reason I brought up this map is to show the significance. A lot of people don't realize that Washington County was one of the main avenues that the Underground Railroad began. And I'll show you some brief slide. I know oh wow, okay, I'm over my time. But anyway, the Underground Railroad began in Washington County, and it went into Guy County and other counties north or south of us as well. So this is a map, and I'm going to have several maps in here. I want you to pay attention. Of course, this is William Siebert's Index. Have you heard of Wilbur Siebert? Yeah. Okay, Wilbur Siebert, briefly, he was an OSU professor in the 1900s, a history professor. He wanted to get his students really interested in the Underground Railroad activity in Ohio, and not just Ohio, Illinois, Pennsylvania, even New York and Kentucky. So he gave them an assignment that they would interview descendants of conductors or people involved in an Underground Railroad. So it used to be for years, when I was a student at OU, there was 2 places in Ohio that had these documents. It was Columbus, with then it was called the Historical Society in Columbus, now changed its name, but then Ohio University. You have those archives on microfilm. Now, thank goodness for technology, you can access all these resources online, including the map. You can look up surnames and so on and so forth. So that's all online now. All right, so another map, I kind of narrowed or zoomed in to show you the activity of Amesville, Athens. I don't know if you've heard of Flowers Mill over here. Albany. Albany was a great network coming from down south. They would come to Albany, so on and so forth. All right. Get caught up here. This gentleman right here, you know who he is? The Cutler family had a great history in this area, as well as the Putnam family. Just as Judge Ephraim Cutler, he's an abolitionist who settled along the Ohio River at Constitution and founder of Cutler, and he came here in 1806. He was the son of Manasseh Cutler. I'm sure some of you heard of Manasseh Cutler. He's one of the founding members of Ohio University. He was responsible as any other person in getting the Underground Railroad started in Ohio as we know it today. Again, keep in mind the luncheons were doing this activity long before white abolitionists came in to actually make it an official Underground Railroad network. All right, for the sake of time, I'm going to go on. These some in Washington County, we have at least 13 locations documented. And I want to point out the one in Cutler Station. Many people refer to that as Station Number 1. And it was owned by the William Smith family, the William Smith farm. Now, and it's important to keep in mind when we talk about Underground Railroad, sometimes houses were used in regards to hiding spaces. We went to a place in Millfield, visited a house there, the Wheaty house, right, Ada? And they were hidden in the attic. There was a hidden room. And but a lot of times houses were not used. Locations such as caves. Wagons, they would be a wagon with material shoved on top of the wagon, whether it be straw, whether it be flour, and so on and so forth. And keep in mind, you didn't stay in one place very long. You were constantly moving. And the location changed constantly. And I'll tell you more about that as I go forward. Hockingport, and I'm saying about the time, so if we want to talk more, Hockingport is another location, or one location in Athens County. And some might question the existence of Underground Railroad in Athens County because of the relatively small black population in the area. But according to Henry Burke, most freedom seekers chose not to settle in the area, and that's a city, because they felt like it was too dangerous, especially with the close proximity to the slave state of Virginia, which had been West Virginia at the time. And of course, Hockingport is at the mouth of the Hocking River. Okay, Athens Township, I want to point out Albany. Some of the Albany conductors were Major T.A. Beaton. He was the father of James Brown. And the mile west of Athens was Harold's Flour Mill and Sugar Creek. And they would usually hide in the attic until sundown, and they would then pass on to Amesville at that time. All right, I'm getting a lot of notifications that I'm out of time here, so. Okay. My clicker quit working. Can somebody go on to the next slide for me? Okay. So going to the next slide, let's move on to book patch slide, if you would. And I just sprayed technology and then I have to eat my words. Okay, let's go on. All of you know who this gentleman is right here, before they go on to the next one. There's actually John Brown. His son Eli Brown actually lived in Amesville. So while they're moving on, I want to tell you one of the stories that Eli had mentioned. So in 1833, 2 Virginians came to the house of Eli Brown in Amesville to buy hogs, and they stayed until the next day. At midnight, Eli heard a well-known signal and found Mr. Walker from Athens with 3 freedom seekers. Having but 1 horse in the stable, Eli borrowed his Virginians' horses to guide the freedom seekers to the next station, more likely in Chester Hill. He arrived back by daylight and went to bed. At breakfast, the Virginians admitted they were sleep-seeking their enslaved African Americans. So you'll find a lot of sneaky stories. So Poke Patch, briefly, I want to talk about Poke Patch. As I mentioned, these communities wouldn't exist if it wasn't for communities of color, such as the Poke Patch area in Athens County. So I've got some of the names connected with Poke Patch. In the next slide, go into the next slide. Payne's Crossing are Normans, Flowers, Gross, Morgan, Hardings, Cross, and Letts as well, and Letts settlement in Muskegon County as well as that. So I'm not going to go into details. Let's go to, keep going. Okay, if you don't know Hemmons Cave and MGC, you should branch out from Athens and visit these locations. Go on to the next one. And these are my students that were in the picture. So, why is history important? So I'm going to end this by giving a couple quotes. The underground, of course, the people without their knowledge of the history, this is Marcus Garvey, people without their knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture, is like a tree without roots. And one of the most important quotes that I love, and I stand by it daily, is by John Henry Clark. He goes and say, history is the clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day. It is also a compass that people use to find themselves on the map of human geography. History tells the people where they have been and what they've been, where they are and what they are. Most importantly, history tells the people where they still must go, what they still must be. The relationship of history to the people is the same as the relationship of a mother to her child. All right. Thank you. Last slide. Thank you.
Okay, folks who started and attended Mount Zion called it the beacon of light. And hopefully we will put a light in the tower there at the north end of Court Street when the building is finished. So for right now, the beacon of light is the highest honor that we can bestow on anyone. And I today am going to present the Beacon of Light Award to 2 folks who have supported Mount Zion beyond. We've been working with Miss Patty Mitchell of Passion Works since way back when she started the first sign that she had, the Black Lives Matter sign, and started giving a percentage of the sales to Mount Zion. That's when our love affair started. And she's continued. We are now using her studio to make the faux stained glass windows. I don't know if any of you saw the slideshow when you first came in, but it was showing the process that's taking place right now, making the faux stained glass. We'll continue working there. So for the first Beacon of Light, we will be bestowing it to Patty Mitchell. But before I have her come up, I have to say something about a former board member who came on very early when the board first came together as a preservation society and did all the programming, put all the programming together for us for the following 3 years. She has been a supporter and is still, now that she's moved from the town, told me that, well, now where I'm living, she said, there are a lot of people that live in this center. Maybe I can put together a tour and bring them back up. So she's still trying to program. Miss Marlene Jenkins. Can I have Marlene and Patty Mitchell come to the stage, please?
The first one I pulled out of the box is for Patty. Oh, thank you. All right.
Absolutely. You know, every stitch that we've done, every banner, every yard sale, walking through this town and seeing all these yard signs and the good trouble signs and knowing that we're standing up for each other and that there's funding coming back to do what we know is right, just leaves me speechless. So thank you so much.
What an honor. I just feel, I think about when I first came to Athens and the first church of worship was at Mount Zion. That was back when the doula was there in the morning and Mount Zion was there for the second part. I think of a whole lot of Mount Zion. I feel that I'm a part of it simply because that was where I went to first worship. It's awesome to see all the things that you've done. And I look forward to the dream that the dreamers have had to come forth and be able to have a community center. Thanks so much. The village is still working.
Okay, smile, 3, 2, 1. Yay!
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to have the honor of also closing. Unfortunately, Reverend Jack is not going to be able to make it today. So I'll take that opportunity to introduce to you and bring forward right now Keith Weil. Where's Keith Weil? Our muralist and our genius who's going to be, when you see the plugs on these windows and the things that's going to go on them for the next year, well, it's going to blow your mind. As a matter of fact, we are going to award, there's some cards on the table. You better grab one right now because one of them is going to be a winner for you to receive one of his autographed pictures of them. Keith, would you please come forward? There, she's showing you the picture in the back there, if you look.
Thank you. It is an honor to help Mount Zion Baptist Church Preservation Society with this mural project. And it is, I am assisting, and it is a village that is going to create this on several fronts. And we have lots of fantastic partners that have supported this. I just happen to be helping out with a few things that are mural specific. The short version of the mural is that, there's a big plywood plugs in place of the historic stained glass windows up there right now. And we're going to put a mural on that. The mural, of course, is going to tell the story of Mount Zion Baptist Church and other highlights of our great Black culture, our Black history in the region. Many of you have helped inform that content, and I'll say a little bit more about that. But then it will be done in a stained glass style. And that would be a good time to show this. So, so the mural will be rendered in a faux stained glass manner. It will also borrow motifs from the historic stained glass, and that's a reasonable example of something you'll see in the photos of the mural, or I mean of the stained glass. And but the stories that are going to be told, the new narratives that we're going to feature in there, are about Mount Zion Baptist Church. And thank you to all of you that have submitted yourself to an interview or helped me find information. Even next week, I'm going to be tapping Dr. Andrea Frome and Dr. Catherine Jellison of Ohio University to put some finer points on some of the stories that we want to tell. And if any of you have great historic photos, a story about being in the congregation, or some other story you want to share, the window on the ideas that we can incorporate is rapidly closing, but I'm all ears. Another way that many of you can participate, and I see many faces in the room that have, is that we are conducting workshops. We've had 7 so far at Passionworks. Thank you, Patty Mitchell, and everybody at Passionworks. It's a great place to make art. We've had 7 workshops there. Our volunteers have made almost 600 square feet of faux stained glass painted cloth, which is the foundational material that we use to build this mural. And they've also assembled, rather more carefully, some of the panels. And I guess it was a fun preparing for today. I did some math, and we now have 10% of the mural completed. I'm going to be on it for a long time. It's going to take, this project is massive, and it's going to take me all year to finish this, along with some help from some others. In that time, we are going to slow roll out the progress. And the first major unveiling will be on Juneteenth. So I hope you all be able to show up for that, and it will be on site at the church on Juneteenth. And then we'll schedule the rest after that. And when it's there, this mural has several phases to its life. And as a mural on that major thoroughfare, it is going to play to the average person on the street. And I think the history that you all are talking about here is not well known to every person that you find on the street. I presented to the Athens Senior Club the other day and asked them, who knows who Milton Holland was? And I didn't get very many hands. And he ought to be on everybody's mind. It's a great story. So we're going to have stories like that the average person on the street can find and discover this stuff. And I hope it opens up a new conversation for a lot of people and connects a lot of us a lot better. And then eventually, the renovations of the building will come to a close, and we will take down these murals. And you can see it's mounted on a piece of plywood. We'll just pop that off, and then that will contribute to the interior spaces of the new Black Cultural Center. And I really look forward to the decades far from now when we see new historians sharing with the new community the stories that we're trying to tell today of our shared past. Yeah.
All right, everyone has their card, looking at the number.
We're going to have the drawing now for one of the pictures.
16.
What is it?
16.
16. 16. Anybody have 16?
All right.
All right. Okay.
Are you going to do the other one too?
Uh-huh.
Congratulations, Dr.
Dr. Cromwell. Okay.
And we're going to draw another one.
30. 30.
Oh my goodness.
Middle in the back. Thank you very much. All right, I know she's a board member and Cromwell's a friend, but we did not plan this.
That ends the gambling portion of the.
Yes, we're going to please, at the end of this, come forward, please, so we can take a picture, a photo op for that, Libby and Cromwell. I just want, in closing, I want to say thank you all so very much for so much. So much has come to us from the village. As I said now, from the entire world village. The movie that's being made is being made by a gentleman from Ghana. We have the Egyptian, we have Singaporean, we have Indonesian villagers that are working with us. And we like to say it's the ancestors of the Mount Zion building, which is now about 100 and almost 120 years old, that keeps sending those folks to us, and you, of course, who are helping us in the village. Also, before you leave, I want you to make sure that you see some of the lovely photographs that's on the wall that Ahmed, our student, now graduate MFA student, did in promoting Mount Zion. Also, we have a couple of large pictures that come from the photo project down on East Union Street. I believe that's Union. Is that Union? Yes, who has also participated a lot in everything. So I wish to thank you so very much for everything. Take a look at it. And there's more food if you'd like to go back for seconds. Thank you. All right. Thank you. That concludes our program.